Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. All praise to the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has bestowed us this bounty and blessings. Now today, as you can see, we have two questions on the board. Paper 2 questions, section 1, that is a question on the surds and a question on the quadratic equation. And therefore, I want us to solve this question together and how we go about them. As you can see here, we have simplify, we have a numerator and a denominator, and as such one, they are called a surd. Now we have in the numerator, we have 3 plus 5 divided by 7 minus 3 root 5. Now you are given, leaving your answer in the form of a plus b root c, where a, b, and c are integers. Now let's do this question together and how do we go about it. Now let's look. It will be 3. It will be 3 plus root 5 out of 7 minus 3 root 5. Now class, as you can see, we have 3 root 5 plus root 5 out of 7 minus root 5. Now I want us to solve this equation like this on the surds. Now class, as you can see, when a equation is structured like this, we have this one, we multiply the conjugate of the denominator on both sides. What is the conjugate here? This one, it is 7 minus 3 root 5. The conjugate will be 7 plus 3 root 5. Let's multiply the conjugate on both sides. Time is 7 minus 3 root 5 plus 3 root 5 out of 7 plus 3 root 5. Now again, as the first step, you multiply both sides by the conjugate. And the conjugate, if this is positive, this one will be negative, and if this is negative, this one will be positive. Now let's first solve the numerator. The numerator, what do you have the numerator? Let's say n. We have 3 into bracket. We multiply this by this one in the bracket, which is 7 plus 3 root 5 plus root 5 into bracket 7 plus 3 root 5. That is now the numerator. Let's first deal with the numerator, then we come for the denominator. Now, opening up the bracket will be 21 plus 3 times 3 root 5. You just multiply this one with the one outside the root, that is 9 plus root 5. 9 root 5, I mean 9 root 5 plus root 5 times 7, it will just be 7. This one is 1 root 5 times 7, it will be 7 root 5 plus root 5 times 3 root 5, it will be root 5 times root 5. That means the roots will cancel, we are going to remain with a 5. 3 times 5 again will be, it will be like this class, it will be 3 root 5 multiplied by root 5. Now this one will cancel with this one, that, or you can just say 3 into bracket 5 times 5, we are going to get 3 into bracket 25, that means 3 times 5, which is 15. And therefore we get here as 15. This is now the numerator done. Is it complete? Still no, because we have this one and this one, they look similar. This one and this one, they look similar. We collect the like terms together. For instance, here we have 15 plus 21, it will be 21 plus 15 plus 9 root 5 plus 7 root 5. Now what happens, because these are in the same order, 2, we add, it will be 36 plus 16 root 5. The numerator is done. That is now the numerator. We have only solved the numerator now. Let's look at the denominator again, the dn. Now the denominator is not something very difficult. The denominator will be solving it in a quick, because it is a type of a quadratic identity. As you can see here, these are minus plus. We have 3 quadratic identities class. We have quadratic identity like this. The first one is a plus b squared. Quadratic identity number 1. This one will be, you just a squared, a times b, it will be ab times 2 plus 2ab plus b squared. This is quadratic identity number 1. Quadratic identity number 2 is a minus b squared, which will be a squared, a times negative b minus ab times 2 minus 2ab plus minus b squared. Minus b times minus b. You can see minus b times minus b, it will be b squared plus b squared. This one is quadratic identity number 2. Now quadratic identity is a plus b into bracket a minus b. Now a quadratic identity of that nature is very simple. You subtract the difference of their square. That will be a squared minus b squared. And therefore, this is quadratic identity number 3. And therefore, this one is like quadratic identity number 3, but it has values or numbers which are constant. Now it will be 7 squared. It will be 7 squared minus 3 root 5 squared. Now class, 7 squared we know is 49. This one will be 49. Minus. Again, how do we square this one? It is like this. We have 3 root 5 squared. Now 3 squared will be 9. Now root 5 squared is like this. When a number is root 5, basically means 5 power a half now squared. Now this one will cancel with this one. We are going to remain with 5 power 1 times 5. Very good. It will be 49 minus, which is 45. It will be 49 minus 45, which is 4. Now coming here again. Now finally we do numerator over the dn. Now our numerator we are having 36 plus 16 root 5 divided by 4. Now what are they common here? What's the common factor here? We can get a common factor 4 here. It will be 4 into bracket. This one will be 9. This one will be 4 root 5 divided by, again, 4. Now because you have 4 in the numerator and 4 in the denominator, they cancel out. Now we're going to remain with 9 plus 4 root 5. And therefore, class, if you come here again, A was this one, A. We have A as 9. We have B as 4. And C is equals to 5. And therefore, we have seen that A, B, and C are integers. A, B, and C are integers, and this is how we solve the equation. And you have to follow the instructions as per the equation, because you are told leaving your answer in the form of A plus B root C, and therefore we have done that. Now let's come to the next part 2 of the question, question number 2. The perimeter of a rectangle is 48. 48 perimeter. Rectangle. Kwanza tuandike nini? Rectangle. Now perimeter is equals to 48 centimeters. Area is equals to 108 centimeters squared. Now you are given the perimeter and you are given the area. Now you as a student, you need to find the dimensions of this rectangle. Now you don't have both of them. You just use now letters. For example, perimeter of a rectangle is equals to 2 into bracket L plus W shall give you the perimeter, isn't it? Now let's say let the length L be X and the width be Y. Very good. Let the length be X and let the width be Y. Very good. Now that will mean 2 into bracket length is X plus W width is Y shall give us the perimeter, which is 48. Now because you have 2 here, let's divide both sides by 2. That means X plus Y is equals to 24. This is equation 1. Because by using unknown values for the perimeter, you get an equation for the perimeter and you name it as equation 1. Now let's do equation 2. Now equation 2 will be area of a rectangle is equals to length times width. And we have our length as X and this one as Y. That means it's equals to 108. Now this is equation 2. Now this equation 2 is X, Y is equals to 108. Now we have expressed the perimeter and the area, both of them, in form of equation. So what do we have? We have 2 equations. Now can we solve these 2 equations? Yes, we can solve. How? If we take one, we take equation 1. Let's take equation 1 and express one unknown in equation 1 as the subject of the other. Taking equation 1, taking equation 1 and making x the subject of the formula. The subject of the formula. Now, taking equation 1 and making x the subject of the formula, that means x, equation was x plus y is equals to 24. That means x will be equal to 24 minus y. Now, that is step 1 of the equation. X is equals to 24 minus y. 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 Now, class, what is the next thing that you also need to understand? Now that you have expressed x as the subject of the formula from equation 1, now substitute. Now we come here again. Substitute x in equation 2. That means equation 2 we are having xy is equals to 108. Now that you have x as 24 minus y, you no longer write x. How it will be? This one means 24 minus y multiplied by y shall give us 108. Now let's solve this one. It will be 24y minus y squared shall give us 108. Now how will it be? Now let's take the equation to the other side. It will be negative y squared, y squared, this one positive, minus 24y plus 108 shall give us 0. Now class, that is called a quadratic identity. A quadratic identity where we have x, y squared minus 24y plus 108. And as I always tell you, quadratic equation can be solved by 3 ways. Number 1, factorization. Number 2, completing square method. Number 3, it can be solved by quadratic formula. And therefore we say a quadratic equation can be solved basically in 3 ways. That is factorization, completing square method, as well using the quadratic formula. But a scenario like this is a very simple one. We basically use the factorization method. Now quickly, the factorization method. Now we look for two numbers. When added, they give us negative 24. When multiplied, they give us 108. Those two numbers, if you quickly look at them, it is minus 18 minus 6. Minus 18 minus 6 is minus 24, right? Minus 18 minus 18 times minus 6 is 108. Therefore, we say y squared minus 6y minus 18y plus 108. Now, when we do like that, basically it means we have expressed this 24 in terms of those numbers. Still, if you add this one, it will be minus 6y minus 18y. It is still minus 24y. But we have break it up so that we can solve the equation, because once it is like this, it will not be able to be solved. And as such, therefore, that is why we use those values which still, when added, will give us the original number without changing its form. And therefore, by writing this one in this way does not mean we're changing the originality of the equation, but rather we're just expressing the equation in other way that still gives us that still retains the originality of the equation. Very good. Now these have this one, y squared. We have y squared minus 6y minus 18y plus 108. Now we put them to bracket like this, like that. Now this one will be what the common factor y into bracket y minus 6. Now here it will be minus, the common factor here is 8. 18, the common factor here is 6, I mean 6, into bracket. This one will be, no, it is the common factor here is 18. Now this one will be y. Now this one was a positive, that was a positive. Now, and here we have a negative. Because if we put it here a positive number, that means when we open up the bracket, we will not be getting this negative. Again, the sense? Because by opening this bracket, we must get the originality, which is negative. And therefore, for us to get a negative number, what do? can we still have a negative 18 into bracket? Now what do we do? Now it will be 108 divided by 18. 108 divided by 18. Now it will be y minus plus. Yes, this one was positive, and we want to get minus 6. Therefore, we have y minus 18. Because here we are having positive, minus 18 times minus 6, you're going to get positive. Are you together? Tukiweka plus, itakuwa negative here, and which you don't have, isn't it? Good. Now minus 18 times minus 6, we're going to get positive. Tukiweka positive, this one will change, and therefore, we must retain the originality of the question. And for you to retain the originality of the question, the sign will be a subject to changes. Very good. But the essence here is the number should have its originality. Good. Now it will be into bracket y minus 6. Now shall give us 0. Now it will be y minus 18 is equals to 0, which is y is equals to 18. Another one here we have x or we're having y 18. Now we got y as 18, and therefore, what's the next thing now? No, you got y into bracket y minus 6 minus 8 into bracket y minus 6. This one will be minus 18 minus 18y plus this one. So minus 18, so y is equals to 18 y minus 6 is equals to 0, y is equals to 6. Very good. Now we got the value of y as 18. We also got the value of y as 6. Now, what was our y? Our y here was the width. So the width cannot be 18. The two numbers will either be 18 or it will be 6. And therefore, for you to get, and the w and width was and y was representing the width. Therefore, y will be width. Now the width will be 6, and length will be 18. 18 plus 6, 24 times 2, you get that one. We also have this one, itakuwa 2 into bracket 18 plus 6, the 2 into bracket 24, we're getting 48, which was perimeter. Again, it got 18 times 6, you're going to get 108 as the area. Very good. And that is how we solve that question. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Let's make the channel shine. Good.